In this video, we're going to talk about the initial setup and testing that will be required when masking Microsoft SQL databases using Actifio. So our goal here is to perform data masking using Actifio DataVal software. And as I said, we'll talk initially about how to test this manually and how to demonstrate ad hoc masking. As an extension project, in further videos, we'll talk about direct mount and live clone workflows. Obviously, what we need is a production database we can mask. This is our source database. We, in a production environment, would need 3 Windows servers, each with Microsoft SQL installed. Now, we'll make a point, they should have the same version of Microsoft SQL, or as we go up, we should increase the version. So you should not try and take a database from an up level to a down level, but you can take it from a down level to an up level. Hopefully that makes sense. So we need 3 servers: our production server, which hosts our source database, our masking server, where we mask the source database, and then our development server, where we present the masked database. If you're doing a POC, you could do this all on one server, but if you do that, you need to think about your naming. So I call this the 3 stages of life, and I often will talk about the middle server. So the left-hand server here is our production server. In my example, you'll see it's called SQL 2, and I have a production database called Finance. I'm going to mask it on a server called DV1, and when I'm masking, I'm calling it Mask Finance. And once it's masked, I'll present it to a server called SQL 5, and I'll call it Dev Finance. So you can see I've got 3 names. The middle name is the critical one here, Mask Finance, because that's the name of the database as it's being masked. So it could be prior to being masked, or it could have been masked. As I said, if you're doing a POC, you could do all of this on a single server. You don't need 3 servers. However, you would definitely need to have 3 names, otherwise you won't be able to tell the difference between which one's masked and which one's not. So the first thing we need to do is install DataVal on our masking server. You will need JRE 1.8. We need to license our DataVal and know where we put the license file. You'll see why in a moment. We then mount our production database to the masking server, creating a virtual copy, giving it that middle name. So the middle name, in the example I said, if the production database is called Finance, when we mount it to the masking server, we call it Mask Finance. We then create a project using DataVal where we define what masking we want to do. We save the project and note where we save the project. Last thing we need to do on the masking server is create a BAT file. So the BAT file is used to assist the Actifio workflow to find all the bits. So we need the DataVal software, we need a license file and a project file, as we've talked about, but we also need this BAT file. So we can get the BAT file from GitHub. It's publicly available, download for free. And in that BAT file, you'll notice that there are, well, in this case, I've highlighted the section you'll need to change. There's more lines of this in the BAT file, but this is the bit that matters. So you'll need to change where you installed it. So the dataval.exe, where is that? In this case, you can see it's in D drive, dataval, bin, dataval 64exe. Dataval 64exe is the thing that matters. And then down the bottom, you can see where did you put the project file? What is the key that you generated when you created the project? Where did you put the license, and where do you want the logs? And you might need to create the folder where the logs are going to be created. A couple of things to be aware of. First is that you'll notice, because we presented this as a series of lines when it's really one command, it's split with this space caret. There's a space and then an up arrow thing here called a caret. Don't monkey with those. Don't put any spaces on the right side of the caret. Don't add more spaces. Don't do anything except use the double slashes. I'm using the word don't a lot, but you need to follow the format as it's shown here. It's critical you do that to ensure you get a reliable operation. So we customize our BAT file. And then finally, we copy the BAT file into place. So it needs to be in program files, Actifio scripts, and then you can call it anything you like, but it has to be .bat. In my example, it's dvmask.bat. That's what it's called on GitHub. If you change the name when we create the workflow later, you'll need to know what that name is. You must put it in this folder. It cannot be in any other folder. And the other files that we talked about, the license file, the project file, don't put them in this folder. Put them somewhere not in C drive program files. We had some strange issues relating to Java looking for the files in the wrong place, or not being able to look for them rather. So don't use C drive program files. Finally, we can test our BAT file. So presuming we've created the project file and we've got the BAT file in the right spot and everything is lined up nicely, and our Mask Finance database is still mounted to our mask server and ready, on the mask server we can literally get ourselves into program files, Actifio scripts, and run dvmask.bat space and the word test. And that will mask our production database mounted to the mask server. And at that point we can validate that it's masked. And at this point we can move on to creating workflows. Okay, let's, in the next video, you'll see me actually doing all of these things.